Several stocks hitting new highs. Dick's Sporting Goods, Best Buy, Target, Dollar General, Costco, and Lowe's. Bed Bath & Beyond on pace for its best month ever. Is it time to buy retail?
Well, I think there are still select names that I think that you can buy in retail, and I think there are some names that have absolutely exploded to the upside, and you just went through a list. I mean, some of these names are at all-time highs, Scott. So, yes, the consumer's strong. The consumer actually returned. The consumer's gotten out there. Those September numbers were well above what the expectations were and well above what we'd seen in August. So, yeah, these numbers are very, very impressive, and it does go to show you just how strong these guys are in terms of everybody getting out and about and getting into different retail. It's not just about the essentials anymore. You just went through the laundry list, but I mean, the reality is it is about people going out and getting clothing, whether it's shoes, whether it's yoga material, whatever it might be. But we are seeing an absolute run towards that area and a nice springboard. And we're seeing a lot of those names getting rewarded for it, as we've seen. And I will add this. It still does have a lot to do with, Scott, however, that it's got a lot to do with the e-commerce. If you have a great presence there, you are absolutely one of those that is on the haves as opposed to the have-nots.
Yeah.
And those are the names that are really flying to the upside. I
feel, though, Pete, you're a little more willing than most to go out on the retail risk curve, if you will. I get the Lulus and the Targets and some of the names that have obviously worked well during COVID, but TJX calls, Gap calls, it's a little bit further out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is, absolutely, especially when I'm looking at Gaps. It's not necessarily a name that I normally would be attracted to, Scott, but fortunately, we'd seen some unusual options there, and I think that there's a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of Gap and what might be the lead in the future. And I think there's going to be a lot of shuffling around there, but they've done a great job of managing themselves, I think, through the pandemic. And there are other names as well. I mean, we could go through a long list. How about Bed Bath & Beyond? And by the way, I'd gotten out of that. I'm already back in that, so I just want to let you know that as well. So that's one of those names where you look at the leadership position. What an amazing turnaround. It's been less than a year, somewhere very close to a year, and the management there and what they've been able to accomplish in a very short period of time is pretty extraordinary, because this was left for dead by a lot of us, including myself. I even questioned, why does it exist? You could go to Target to get just about everything. You could go to Walmart to get just about everything that you get in a BBBY. But when you look at the very top, you can see exactly what the game plan was and how they are doing a great job in execution right now. And I think that's why this is a name that's not only, it was just $14, Scott, not too terribly long ago in front of earnings, $14 or $15. And then take a look at where it is right now. An absolutely extraordinary move to the upside.
641% off the year low? That's insanity. Steve Weiss, you agree with this? Yeah. You agree with Bed Bath Beyond, as I said, pacing for its best month ever?
I do agree with it, and I'm frankly embarrassed I don't own it, because the lead activist in there is someone I've known for 25 years when we started working at Solomon together. So I'm very familiar with the story. The family that ran it uses a personal piggy bank and did everything possible that you could wrong. So, for example, they sourced over 90% of their goods through a third party when they're big enough to go directly. Walmart doesn't go through a third party. They have too many SKUs, store-keeping units. So there's a lot of rationalization. Then when you bring somebody in, Pete mentioned Target, with that kind of background to take a look and saying, hey, this is low-hanging fruit, they're salivating at what they can still do there. So I'm waiting for a pullback. I don't think I'll get one, so I may have to just go in like Pete has. But as I said, I'm embarrassed I don't own it here.
That's a nice move.
As I am.
That's a nice move. I mean, the rest of my crew feels a little more conservative today on retail. Shan, I mean, I look at what you've got. Costco, Home Depot, totally get it. Makes complete sense. But are you not as willing as Pete to take a little more risk in retail? Are you not as much of a believer, perhaps, that these stocks have some serious room to go?
I am not as much of a believer as Pete is right now. I can attest to that. And I don't think this is dissimilar to the way that I felt before the pandemic, to be honest with you. If you looked at our portfolio prior to the pandemic, where we were exposed in the consumer was really more to the experience side, so travel, for instance. We've been, I would say, less optimistic about retail, especially apparel retail, over the last several years. And I don't feel a whole lot better right now. I think that some of this demand has been pulled ahead for the Christmas season. I think a store like Bed Bath & Beyond, I think people are going there because they're looking for choice that they're not seeing maybe in some of the larger stores. I still think that there are supply chain issues.